Hey everybody, welcome to the Winstead's Speed Shop again. Today we are going to do a review of the Factor OSTRO VAM road bike frame. And instead of showing my beautiful face, I'm going to show the frame in all the framesness. Before this frame, I was riding the Specialized S-Works SL6, not the SL7, which is the one they have out now, but I got the SL6 in 2008, and the SL6 was a great bike. I really liked the SL6 during the time I had it, and it worked good for me. But eventually, you know, I like to get a new bike because it makes riding more interesting. And so I said, I'm going to look for a new frame, and I ordered the Factor frame. I ordered it with a custom paint job. This is a custom matte black with straight white logo. Very simple. And yeah, that costs like an extra $500. You can see that they're not matching the seat post with the frame. This is a shiny seat post, and you can see these like lines on it. That's remnant of their stock paint geometry. But I've got a new Dorimo post coming to replace this stock post. So to do a review, you're basically comparing all the bikes you've had in your past with this new bike that you have now. And I remember my first road bike I ever got was in 1996, I think. It was the Trek OCLV US Postal paint job carbon bike. And that bike rode really good. And I always remember that bike as a great bike. But like I said, before this bike was the Tarmac SL6. And look how wide those fork legs are around the wheel. So this is something that's noticeably different between Specialized and Factor. You know, you can obviously see the philosophy of their aerodynamic engineers here. Factor is evidently thinking that we need to get those fork legs as far away from the spokes as possible to get rid of that turbulent airflow that's coming around those spokes. So I'm down with that. I'm down with that philosophy. They also are doing this. There's a cutout right here. It's like under the headset area, and it's like a scalloped part of the down tube. And I was listening online or whatever and hearing that that's supposed to aid in the airflow as well. Fork legs are really deep. You know, obviously this frame is significantly more teardropped and aerodynamic than the SL6. Not many people ride a SL6 anymore. The SL7 is what everybody rides. But the seat post clamp is right there. That's worked out good so far. I like how the seat post clamp is there. I built this frame up myself. It's got the internal routing through the bars, down the steer, and then down the down tube. And actually routing it was pretty easy. Used the Park Tool internal cable routing kit, which helped a lot. Normally I just use like a coat hanger or something, but the Park Tool worked really good. And you can just see how the frame is built, what it looks like. since that matters a lot, you know, how things look, I put the chain slap rubber protector on. I also put some clear matte finished sticker protection on this part that kind of can get some wear. And I mean, that's pretty much it. The frame went together pretty well. So let's talk about the ride quality. In terms of comparing it to the Specialized, this frame is so damn stiff. Let's look under the bottom side of it here. Kind of put it down like this. You can see the BV area nice and clean with dried up drink mix, whatever. It came with a ceramic speed bottom bracket that went in without any problems. Everything went together really good. I actually like the through axle Allen through axles on the Specialized better. They have a chamfered connection here and it sits flush on the frame. This uses a washer. The S-Works uses a tapered washer. This is a flat washer, and I like the S-Works design on this better. This works fine, but the washer on the S-Works cannot be removed from the bolt, and on this the washer can. So if it's laying around in your car or something, that washer can get lost. And in general, the S-Works just seated better and had a nicer fit. Here's that scalloping I was mentioning on the down tube, and it comes, you know, matches up to the inside of the fork there. Obviously, I went through a little gravel road recently. Who knows if that matters or not? You know, all the engineers say that they know the best ways and all that, but whatever. But the way that the bike rides, it rides so much more stiff than the Tarmac. You instantly notice that your power is being transferred into the chain more directly on this bike than on the Specialized. And, you know, horizontal stiffness usually comes with a trade-off in vertical compliance, which you definitely feel on this frame. This frame feels really stiff. On rough roads, I mean, you feel like there's like a 10 psi difference in the roughness of the vertical compliance of the frame on the S-Works SL6 versus this frame. But in a race, in a sprint, I would much rather have this frame. You feel like you're putting down more horsepower on this frame than the Tarmac. Now, this bar I have, the Vision Metreon bar, is super stiff. The stock bar was super stiff. The bars I had on the S-Works were really flexy, so that's going to make the bike feel more soft, more compliant. But from the ass end of the bike, under your ass, you feel this bike stiffer. And it is what it is. I mean, it's not a touring bike, it's a race bike. So, you know, if you need a smooth ride, I don't suggest you get this bike. I have a S-Works Athos, and the two bikes are vastly different in terms of how they ride. The Athos is way smoother, way more compliant, just feels easier to ride, but it's not that racy kind of feel. So, you know, that's what I got this bike for. Obviously, it's supposed to be aero and more aerodynamic, and I've been happy with it, but I would just say you instantly notice how stiff it is. There's actually another thing about this bike that's different than the S-Works. This bike is not as twitchy in the front end. Now, people use the word, like descriptive words like twitchy, smooth, stable, all these subjective terms in how a bike rides. But I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think the head tube angle on this bike is slightly more slack, meaning this angle is more drawn out than the S-Works. As the head tube angle straightens, typically the steering is going to be more aggressive or quicker. And as this angle slackens, the steering is going to be more slow reacting or maybe feel more stable. And I definitely noticed that on this bike compared to the S-Works. This bike does not have that feeling like it wants to dive into a corner. You have to be a little bit more deliberate in how you corner it. It corners good. I've done a lot of mountain descents on it and like neighborhood 90-degree turns on it like you would in a crit. And I can turn the bike, it's not a problem, but if I wanted to really lay a bike over and just freaking rail a corner, I felt like I could do that easier on the Tarmac than on this bike. I can do it. I can get it to do it. I just have to kind of think about it more and make the bike do it. And I think that has to do with that head to angle. But that wouldn't keep me from buying it again. So yeah, that's the Factor Ostro.